But I wanted to point this out really quick because this was some of the most weirdest, feminist, nasty agenda I've ever seen put on ESPN.
Did ESPN try to cover something up? Brand new deleted footage unveils Elle Duncan's jaw-dropping response to Caitlin Clark's NBA three-point contest rejection, and it's even more explosive than expected. Although ESPN swiftly removed Duncan's contentious remarks from their YouTube channel, we've got the original footage that exposes the full story.
Now, if you all don't know, there is a silent kind of behind-the-scenes war going on with new people covering the WNBA and old people covering the WNBA. And, you know, a lot of the old WNBA people don't want the new people to be covering the WNBA, right? And going into this, I would definitely say Elle Duncan is a part of the old WNBA coverage team.
The rift between traditional and modern WNBA media coverage has reached a critical tipping point, and Duncan's remarks on Clark's decision could be the most polarizing take this year. Let's unpack what ESPN might be trying to keep under wraps.
Elle Duncan comes in with her disturbing, nasty take of this whole thing. Basically trying to make Caitlin Clark's decision a nasty feminist FU to the NBA. It's ridiculous, man.
The WNBA universe is buzzing right now, and what just unfolded on ESPN's First Take might be one of the most eye-opening moments in recent sports journalism. I'm here to break it all down, because this isn't merely about a removed clip. It's about a long-standing divide in women's basketball coverage. Picture this. ESPN airs a routine First Take segment discussing Caitlin Clark's decision to decline an invitation to the NBA's three-point contest. At first glance, it seems like standard fare, right? But here's the twist. A crucial piece of footage mysteriously vanished when ESPN uploaded the segment to YouTube. Trust me, once you hear what Elle Duncan had to say in that missing clip, you'll understand why this is sparking such intense debate. Stick with me as we uncover the full story.
Just stick with me. This is the original content posted on YouTube. Just stick with me.
Games, and I've seen a lot of games, women's basketball games.
And they competed.
Arike Ogunbowale got MVP. She had a crazy second half. Everyone competed. People are starting to appreciate the women's game for that approach because we understand what's at stake in this moment. And for Caitlin Clark to have the awareness to drive the eyeballs there, you have to give her so much credit for that.
Okay, you saw how it skipped right there? That is where Elle Duncan came in with her crazy, asinine state.
Let's begin with what everyone witnessed. The segment opens as expected with Stephen A. Smith and Chiney Ogwumika discussing Clark's decision. Chiney's insights were nothing short of brilliant. She emphasized the fiercely competitive nature of last year's WNBA All-Star game, underscored the elite level of play in women's basketball, and made her points without alienating anyone. It was a masterclass in championing women's sports while forging connections rather than burning bridges. Then came Elle Duncan's segment, the very part ESPN tried to keep out of the spotlight. I managed to secure the original TV footage, and believe me, it's incredibly revealing. Duncan wasn't just providing commentary, she was pushing what many are calling a concerning and divisive feminist agenda that completely misread the situation.
Caitlin Clark, to have the awareness to drive the eyeballs there, you have to give her so much credit for that.
Then the reason why today, the reason why is because these women know that every opportunity they have on this platform, they have to ball out because they have to completely turn around tropes or ideas or narratives or discourse. Like all of that is always on their shoulders, which is why not only do I think that this move by Caitlin Clark is the right move, I think it's incredibly empowering.
Elle Duncan doesn't stop there. She just goes on and on. You can tell the jealousy is real. This is more than just reporting. It looks like pure hatred to me. let's get right back into it.
Because Stephen A., when we watched that three-point contest last year in the NBA, and we all enjoyed it, and it was so much fun, what did immediately those of us in the W space say? All right, Steph, now return the favor and go do the same thing at the W, right? In years past, for generations past, women had to legitimize being mainstream by being validated in a male space.
Wow, this is truly something. What are your thoughts on this speech so far? Let me know in the comments below. And now let's continue.
And now Caitlin Clark is saying that my power and cachet is not for loan. I am going to go and improve the league that I believe in and care in. And the idea that she said, I'm going to make sure the first three-point contest I participate in will be the W one. She didn't do it last year. Lord knows she was tired and didn't want to, right? Like it took everything she had just to get through that game, and she was fantastic. But I love this, and what I hope it does, listen, Caitlin Clark is a one-of-one in many ways, and we understand that. So not everybody has that ability, that cachet and all that clout to move the needle, to draw those kinds of ratings. But what I hope that it does is empower the next generation, the Paige Beckers, the Juju Watkins behind her, the Hannah.
Duncan's commentary takes an even more controversial turn when she implies that rising stars like Juju Watkins and Hailey Van Lith should mimic Clark by refusing to participate in mainstream male-centered events. This is where the issue deepens. She's essentially promoting a form of segregation in basketball coverage, when what we really need to be focusing on is integration and mutual support.
I'm so tired of it. It just makes no sense to me, and I'm tired that we keep giving it so much energy, and I'm tired of it being people who are not in this circle or space at all who suddenly have all these opinions about how these women need to treat Caitlin Clark. What do you want from them? They want to beat her because she's not on their team. Isn't that how it's supposed to be? Yeah. Y'all stop it. We already know she's transformational. They've all said it. How many times do they gotta say it?
Let's unpack why this perspective is so off the mark. For starters, the NBA and WNBA share a mutually beneficial relationship. The NBA not only helps subsidize the WNBA, but also supplies essential infrastructure, marketing support, and overall momentum to grow women's basketball. With NBA Commissioner Adam Silver standing as one of the league's most vocal advocates, reducing this partnership to a gender war isn't just misguided. It could actually hurt the very league Duncan claims to support. Think back to when Sabrina Ionescu participated in the NBA three-point contest. That event wasn't merely a win for the NBA, it served as a massive boost for the WNBA as well. Ionescu's appearance attracted new fans, spiked Liberty jersey sales, and elevated the profile of the women's game. Yet, according to Duncan's narrative, that move was somehow a bid for male validation. The frustrating part is her complete dismissal of the storied history of WNBA stars, who forged their legacies solely on the strength of women's basketball. While Duncan argues that male validation is necessary for the sport's legitimacy, icons like Maya Moore and Lisa Leslie have long proven that their incredible achievements speak for themselves. What's even more telling is ESPN's decision to remove this segment from their YouTube channel. This action clearly indicates that they recognized how incendiary and potentially damaging Duncan's comments could be. Fortunately, thanks to viewers who recorded the live broadcast, we can examine exactly what was said and have a genuine conversation about it. The timing of this controversy is critical. Women's basketball is in a golden era, with stars like Caitlin Clark drawing record crowds and generating unprecedented excitement. The last thing the sport needs is divisive rhetoric from someone who's supposed to be one of its biggest media advocates.
With that being said, you big dummies, you getting paid now.
Right.
Everybody now has an opportunity to pull up their chair and have a seat.
For the past year, we've seen Sheryl Swoopes relentlessly target Caitlin Clark with outlandish accusations, claiming she's a 25-year-old competing against teens, saying her rookie season lacks merit, insisting that no one wants to team up with her. The barrage of criticism felt never-ending.
Some of your peers, they will recognize, her game, but they won't recognize her impact.
Right.
How can you separate the two? It's kind of
You
hard,
know
right?
what? And I used and you know, Jax, you're absolutely right. And I was like, come on, you big dummies.
Then, Cheryl Miller stepped up. The basketball legend and former Clark coach threw a knockout punch on the All the Smoke podcast, calling Swoops a big dummy and shredding her false claims. Miller put Swoops in check, and her defense of Caitlin Clark hints at something huge for the Indiana Fever, leaving fans buzzing.
3-time Player of the Year, 2-time National Championship, 2-time Tournament MVP, first woman to dunk in an organized game, gold medalist. Thank you for making time. Welcome to the show, Cheryl Miller.
Before we dive into Miller's take, ever wondered why a basketball legend is so focused on tearing down the WNBA's brightest new star? Let's unpack the bizarre crusade Cheryl Swoops has waged against Caitlin Clark, from her college days to her rookie season.
Let's also talk about how much more experience that gives you over other players coming in, right? So people say, dang, like he or she's killing them, but you have a 25-year-old playing against a 20-year-old.
It all started with Swoops' wild claim that Clark was a 25-year-old playing against 20-year-olds at Iowa. In reality, Clark was 22, a typical college senior. When called out, Swoops backpedaled, blaming COVID eligibility rules, an excuse that didn't stick.
Caitlin Clark right now probably takes about 40 shots a game.
Here we go.
I know you like that.
Hell yeah.
I said that because when she comes to the league, regardless of what team she goes to that has vets on that team, she probably ain't gonna get 40 shots a game.
Swoops wasn't done. She claimed Clark took 40 shots a game, labeling her a selfish shooter. The truth? Clark averaged 22.7. Ironically, Swoops averaged 19.2 in her senior year. When Clark neared the NCAA scoring record, Swoops shifted, questioning its legitimacy and suggesting Clark needed a 5th year to break it.
You asked me about Caitlin. If you're going to break a record, to me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that that player set it.
Okay.
Right? So if Kelsey Plum set that record in 4 years, well, Caitlin should have broke that record in 4 years. But because there's a COVID year, and then there's another year, you know what I mean? So she's already had an extra year to break that record. So is it truly a broken record?
Swoops' claim was false. Clark shattered the NCAA record in 4 years, not 5. She could have taken a 5th year due to COVID rules, but chose not to. When Clark entered the WNBA, Swoops predicted she wouldn't dominate. Yet, Clark went on to break rookie assist records, averaging 19.2 points and 8.4 assists, winning Rookie of the Year and silencing the doubters.
Didn't say she wouldn't be good. What I said was I didn't think Caitlin or Angel would come into the league and dominate immediately, which I don't think either of them did.
Respectfully, there is absolutely no way, even when we're trying to sit here and play semantics about dominating, there's no way that anyone could ever leave this season in saying that both Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese didn't dominate. You would have to further explain what dominance means for you to not sit here and say that a player who is leading the league in assists while averaging 19 to 20 points didn't dominate that season.
Perhaps the most telling moment came when Swoops appeared on Angel Reese's podcast, continuing to undermine Clark while claiming she didn't dislike her. A classic case of saying one thing and doing another. The basketball world took notice, and soon Swoops was removed from broadcasting a Fever game, replaced by Nancy Lieberman. Lieberman didn't hesitate to call out the misinformation being spread about the rookie sensation.
I've known Cheryl since she was in college. I helped do her shoe deal with Nike in 1993, took her to her first SBs. I've known Cheryl, I've coached her, have a lot of respect for her. I called her when Caitlin was still playing at Iowa and she had just broken Maravich's record. And it was all over the place, as you and I have discussed, that, you know, there was this quote by Cheryl that said, you know, Caitlin was, 25 years old. She was, 24 years old. She was a 5th-year senior. Right. She was taking 40 shots a game. Her records were illegitimate.
The basketball world waited for someone credible to step in, and Cheryl Miller delivered. On the All the Smoke podcast, she lit up the critics, offering one of the most authentic defenses women's basketball has seen.
I got off the treadmill and I called her as a friend and I said, you know, you can say whatever you want. You can have your own opinion about anybody, but you do have to get the statistics right. I mean, facts matter. And if you just get ahead of this and just say, hey, I made a mistake on my numbers, then this thing is over and everybody respects you for your opinion. And, you know, you might like Boston, I might like the Yankees. You know, it's okay to have difference of opinions. Well, she got upset with me on the phone. And I was like, Cheryl, you know, I'm not doing anything to hurt you. I'm just sharing. We're talking. And so our relationship, it pretty much is not happening at this point. I tried to talk to her at the Final Four. Right. She didn't want to talk to me. My life's going to be good or great with or without Cheryl Swoops in my life.
Miller didn't just support Clark. She came with fire. Her now viral, "Come on, you big dummies," directed at critics like Swoops, said it all. But she wasn't done. Miller passionately defended Clark's work ethic, calling out the hypocrisy with the authority of a basketball legend. She pointed out what the haters conveniently ignore.
You know, Jax, you're absolutely right. And I was like, come on, you big dummies. Is she getting hyped? Yes. But she was in the backyard. She was putting in the same time, sometimes maybe more than you were.
Right.
I can't fault her for what she was given.
It's the uncomfortable truth critics won't admit. Clark's presence has elevated the entire league, even the paychecks of those criticizing her.
You know, I mean, look, as much as she was given, you can't tell me if that door would have swung the other way where she didn't live up to the hype.
Right.
Come on, folks are still waiting for her to fall.
Exactly.
Come on.
Yep.
So with that being said, you big dummies, you getting paid now.
What makes Miller's defense so powerful is that it's based on direct experience, not speculation. After coaching Clark in the 2024 WNBA All-Star Game, Miller had a front-row seat to evaluate Clark beyond the highlight reels, and what she discovered even surprised her.
You recently coached the WNBA All-Star Game. You spent some time with Caitlin Clark.
Best coaching job ever.
Best coaching job ever.
Best coaching job ever.
Being around Caitlin Clark, how was the experience for her? She's such a big star. I mean, the sky's the limit for her. To be around her, just talk about the type of person she is and how much she loves the game.
I'm going to be honest because it needs to be said. I can relate to that young lady, and I felt for her. I know what it's like to be hated. I know what it's like to be a black woman and hated because of my color.
Yeah.
I was pleased and proud to see the narrative wasn't true, Miller said, dismantling months of media spin in a single sentence. She then went deeper, offering rare insight into what makes Clark truly special.
I can't imagine this young lady, I don't want to use hate, but despised. And people just having, she brought some on herself a little bit because she's cocky for a good reason.
Confident.
And I love that about her. But to watch the dynamics and the media, they had their narrative. And I was pleased and proud to see the narrative wasn't the truth.
Behind Miller's technical breakdown of Clark's skills is something deeper, a genuine emotional bond forged through Clark's toughest moments. When the Fever secured their first win of the 2024 season, Miller didn't just congratulate Clark. She gave her the unconditional support that few others did when the rookie needed it most.
Watching her pass, and I didn't know how talented she was and how well she sees the game in a 3D version, thinker. Defensively, a lot better than I thought and gave her credit for. So watching her and just spending a little time. And one thing, guys, that I've learned is to step back and let these kids be themselves.
The embrace between Miller and Clark after Indiana's first win wasn't just casual, it was a pivotal moment. Clark, battered by criticism, felt isolated. Miller recalled, "I gave her the biggest hug. When she saw me, she said, 'Finally, somebody on my side.' She was getting hit from all sides."
She was getting hit with everything left and right, and I just said, I hugged her, I said, "I'm so proud of you." I go, savor this, use this as a formula. I said, but keep being you. I said, no matter what, keep keep being you.
In that raw, vulnerable moment, Miller didn't offer empty words. She gave Clark the kind of guidance only someone who's walked a similar path could provide. I'm so proud of you. Savor this. Use this as a formula, but keep being you. No matter what, keep being you. These weren't just comforting words. They were a lifeline to a rookie drowning in expectations and scrutiny.
But you want to boycott the one player, looking right at you, Angel Reese and Asia Wilson, one player that has caused the revenue to go way up in the monetary values. That's what you want to do. You think you're helping these women?
The NBA civil war has officially begun. On one side, Asia Wilson and her supporters are reportedly urging fans to boycott Caitlin Clark's games. On the other side, millions of new fans, brought to women's basketball by Caitlin's rise, are baffled by any attempts to undermine the star.
It's what they're mad about. 41 nationally televised games, and they are furious over it. I can't understand.
The league has never been more popular. Fever games are filling arenas. ESPN is airing more WNBA content than ever, and social media is buzzing about women's basketball. Yet, instead of embracing this growth, some players and their fans seem set on resisting it. The true motive behind the boycott effort reveals an uncomfortable reality about fame, jealousy, and the future of women's sports.
The original fans, activist fans, that's what they are, all right? Just keeping it real. They don't like the fact that you want to watch these games. They don't like the fact that you are 3 or 4 times the amount of them.
Have you seen what's unfolding in the WNBA right now? A full-blown civil war is erupting among fans over Caitlin Clark getting 41 nationally televised games this season, more than any other player in the league. The tension has hit a boiling point, and it's causing rifts nobody expected.
Right here, Caitlin Clark in the Fever will have more nationally televised game than any NBA player this year. Sorry, LeBron. Sorry, Luka. Sorry, every other player in the league. Let's be honest. I've seen the NBA ratings. She's beaten most of them.
Some WNBA fans are actually planning to boycott Indiana Fever games in an effort to lower viewership numbers. Can you believe that? They're deliberately trying to reduce the audience just because they think Caitlin Clark is getting too much attention. And it's not just random trolls online. People within the WNBA media ecosystem are promoting the idea that fans should illegally stream games or avoid watching Fever games altogether.
So they're all mad right now, furious, and my goodness, guys, they're talking boycott. Oh, what? Oh, there's strength in numbers. There's tens of you.
What's truly staggering about this situation are the numbers. Caitlin Clark will appear on national TV more than any NBA player this year. Not just any WNBA player, but any NBA player, period. LeBron James, Luka, Stephen Curry, these global superstars are getting less TV time than a WNBA rookie. That's completely unprecedented in basketball history.
And yes, I understand. This is a very, very small minority. It is a very small minority of people, but it is a loud, vocal minority. And this is not the general public. This is not the general population.
For years, a dedicated but small group of hardcore fans has been the driving force behind WNBA discussions, supporting the league through thick and thin, often when no one else was paying attention. But now, millions of new fans are flooding in, many of whom have never watched women's basketball before. And they're shifting everything, from how the league operates to who gets the spotlight.
We're not supposed to talk about it out loud, maybe. That's a massive part. Straight white girl's a big part of it, too. I mean, it's out loud. It's out loud. It just came out of my mouth like that. Just easy peasy. So they're mad, and they are calling for boycotts.
When you look at what's really going on, the boycott movement exposes an uncomfortable truth. Some longtime WNBA supporters would rather see lower viewership than watch Caitlin Clark succeed. They're willing to harm the league's growth just to make a point. WNBA media figures have expressed shock at these calls, highlighting that this vocal minority doesn't reflect the views of most fans.
The slows are now planning to, quote, boycott Indiana Fever games to affect the viewership. They really think they matter in the big scheme of things.
The reality is, we're witnessing a classic case of gatekeeping. Longtime fans who feel a sense of ownership over a niche interest are suddenly watching it go mainstream and feeling threatened by the influx of newcomers.
It's just mad. And what they have now trying to do is they are trying to boycott Indiana Fever games. I'm not joking when I say this. They are literally saying, boycott Indiana. We need to all boycott the Indiana Fever games so they don't get more national TV games. We don't get more national TV games next year.
Critics of the boycott movement argue how counterproductive it is. By deliberately lowering viewership numbers, fans aren't just targeting Caitlin Clark. They're potentially jeopardizing the financial future of every player in the league. This boycott could have unintended consequences that affect the entire landscape of women's basketball.
I cannot believe it. And again, this is a minority of people, but the problem is the idiotic minority somehow have, a lot of them somehow have ins with WNBA players, WNBA teams and stuff. I cannot believe it.
When you trace the money in professional sports, it becomes clear how self-defeating this boycott really is. Before Caitlin Clark, WNBA games were lucky to attract 200,000 viewers. Now, they're drawing over 1 million, and that five-fold increase isn't just a number. It represents life-changing money for every player in the league.
That equivalent, I just can't believe it. But their reasoning for boycotting the Fever games, they're literally saying, we should illegally stream the games when the Fever play our team. And I'm like, one, you are not a big enough percentage of the population for it to have any effect.
Let me break down how this works. The WNBA doesn't just randomly set players' salaries. They're directly linked to something called media rights deals. These are huge contracts that networks like ESPN, ABC, and CBS pay to broadcast games. And what determines how much these networks will pay? Viewership numbers. More viewers mean more advertising revenue, which leads to higher payouts for broadcasting rights.
All that does is harm the players. No matter who you are, what team you are a fan of, if you want the players to make more money.
Right now, the WNBA is in the midst of negotiating its next media rights deal, and this is the absolute worst time for fans to be talking about boycotts. Networks are seeing the viewership spikes from Caitlin Clark and are eyeing those numbers as a goldmine. They're prepared to pay much more than they did before she joined the league. Those million-plus viewer games aren't just benefiting Clark. They're raising the potential salary cap for every player in the league.
They're actively trying to ungrow the game. And it's madness. It's absolutely madness. They're threatening to boycott the Fever games. All 257 of them threatening to boycott Fever games like it makes any difference. These people are not fans of basketball. These people are actually not fans of the WNBA.
Think about this. Games featuring Caitlin Clark are drawing 5 to 10 times more viewers than the league's average before. What does that mean? Networks might be willing to pay 5 to 10 times more for broadcasting rights. This is exactly what the WNBA has been striving for since day one. The kind of mainstream attention that brings in serious money.
They just don't like Caitlin Clark. This is genuinely, it's nothing to do with basketball. And it's nothing to do with Caitlin Clark, the person. There's no rhyme or reason to it, because I don't think there is a harder person to dislike.
Here's where the boycott idea becomes incredibly ironic. Many of the same fans calling for boycotts have been the loudest advocates for better pay for WNBA players, highlighting the salary disparities between male and female athletes. Now that there's finally a player bringing in the viewership that could help close that gap, they want to tank the numbers. It just doesn't add up.
They just don't like Caitlin Clark. It's a personal thing. And they will literally... These people, again, they're not fans of basketball. They're not fans of the WNBA. They're not fans of any teams. They just don't like Caitlin Clark.
What's especially frustrating is how short-sighted the boycott supporters are being. They don't seem to realize that higher viewership creates a positive feedback loop for the entire league's economy. More viewers lead to more ticket sales, more jersey and merchandise purchases, and increased interest from sponsors. The whole economic ecosystem of women's basketball becomes stronger.
I don't think they understand there's no viewership before Clark. So if they boycott, would it really move the needle?
And all this new money doesn't just go to one player, it benefits everyone. A rising tide lifts all boats. The revenue from these media deals gets spread across the league, boosting salary caps and minimum salaries for every player. Veterans who've been grinding for years on smaller contracts could finally earn the kind of money they deserve.
And it's a situation where they move the goalpost. They'll always move the goalpost. You're seeing like prominent figures in the WNBA media-ish space. And the reason I say media-ish space is the Twitter trolls somehow are interact with the damn actual media in a two-way conversations every day. It's mental.
Despite all the financial benefits Caitlin Clark brings to every player in the league, there's an uncomfortable truth we can't ignore. Would any other sports fans ever try to boycott their most popular player? Can you picture NFL fans organizing to avoid Patrick Mahomes games or NBA viewers refusing to watch LeBron? The double standard here isn't just surprising. It exposes something much deeper about how success is treated in women's sports.
I don't know what the big deal is about the fact that Caitlin is getting a lot of love. She deserves that, and she's helped change this game just as a lot of other players have. But it is what it is, and I think that we are all benefiting from the effects that she's had on the game, and I just appreciate the way she shows up.
It's not every day in women's basketball that a Hall of Famer steps onto a podcast and delivers more truth than a finals post-game interview. But that's exactly what Lisa Leslie did when she recently came to Caitlin Clark's defense. What followed was nothing short of a masterclass in grace, perspective, and yes, a subtle but powerful takedown of Angel Reese on her very own show. Thousands were tuned in, and Reese got an up-close look at what will likely go down as one of the most graceful clapbacks in podcast history.
Going into my season 2, what's some advice that you would give for me? Season 2, I can't wait to work with you some more. The biggest advice I have for you is going to be how you shoot your layups, period.
While the internet has been blowing up over the Clark versus Reese drama, with fans treating it like a Marvel-style rivalry, Lisa Leslie stepped in and played a whole different game. She didn't take sides. She raised the level of the conversation. One day, she's praising Caitlin Clark for her influence on the league. The next, she's offering Angel Reese the kind of mentorship you won't find in any practice session. It wasn't about rivalry, it was about growth. And let's face it, someone had to say it.
But she literally got called out for missing layups. I mean, on her own damn show.
Let's rewind for a second. For months, it's felt like Caitlin Clark couldn't catch a breath without some WNBA veteran tossing a passive-aggressive remark or shooting her a side-eye. Between jealousy-fueled tweets and literal body checks on the court, it was obvious some in the league weren't exactly rolling out the welcome mat. So when Lisa Leslie, one of the WNBA's original legends, stepped in and said, "Actually, Caitlin's doing everything right," it landed like a buzzer-beater game winner.
You want to see more WNBA people saying this, and it's just so obvious.
This wasn't just any random take. This was Lisa Leslie, one of the architects of the WNBA, a pioneer who threw down dunks before they were the norm, and someone who understands firsthand what it means to elevate a league. So when she says Caitlin Clark is the real deal, the basketball world pays attention.
We have to understand that when one player eats, we all eat. And as we all get more opportunities, it just opens it up for everyone else. And I think Caitlin has said that even herself in certain interviews. And I love that. I love that she's not the player who's like, it's all about her. It's not. She's giving love and homage to those of us that have come before her. She shares the wealth with her teammates, and she doesn't have to do that. So I just don't, again, I don't know what the big deal is about the fact that Caitlin is getting a lot of love. She deserves that, and she's helped change this game.
Lisa didn't just say Caitlin Clark was talented. She emphasized the how, not just the numbers. She pointed to Clark's humility, her genuine appreciation for the trailblazers who paved the way. In a league where some hacked like they invented the crossover, Clark's deep respect for the game's history stood out, and Lisa made sure everyone heard it. Her message was clear. Are you even paying attention? While some gripe about screen time, Caitlin is out here honoring the pioneers who built the stage.
Listen, she's a competitor. She's a trash talker. She makes players around her better. She's exciting to watch. And quite frankly, I've missed seeing her. Being at Unrivaled, she was there. Like, I've missed seeing her play. So I really look forward to seeing her back out there. But as I do all of the WNBA players, like, we are really watching a very exciting level of basketball.
But let's get to the real moment, the game-changing pivot that turned heads. Lisa Leslie didn't just defend from a distance. She stepped right into the conversation, face-to-face with Angel Reese on her own podcast, a space where Reese controlled the mic and the final cut. Leslie didn't hold back. She went full truth-teller mode, looked Reese straight in the eye, and called out the glaring issue, those missed layups.
The biggest advice I have for you is going to be how you shoot your layups, period. Like, we're going to fix that. Yeah. That's fixable for you. And I think that's probably the biggest. I think your shot from the outside is improving. I love that your ball handling is good. Your defense is improved.
Let's take a moment to appreciate the setup. You bring a legend onto your show, expecting some nostalgia, a few laughs, maybe a feel-good girl power conversation. Instead, your struggles at the rim get put on blast for thousands to hear. It wasn't harsh, it wasn't petty, it was raw honesty. And truthfully, it was the kind of tough love coaching moment Reese might not get anywhere else.
Where she literally needs to put up like 300 shots a day. And I'm not kidding. Like 200 or 300 shots a day, and that's missed layups. She's 6'3" or 6'4", can't hit a layup to save her life. And literal videos have went mega viral of just her missing layups in games.
Lisa didn't tear Reese down. She built her up. That's what makes Leslie such a force. She didn't humiliate Angel. She challenged her, the way a Hall of Famer would take a struggling rookie aside and say, here's what needs to change if you want to be great.
You got to go out there and prove yourselves. And listen, are we going to get upset about 5, 6, 10 games less on television or not? I don't think we should. We have access to find these games now in a way that we never had before, and we have to appreciate that, and all these platforms that support the W.
Lisa understands something many overlook. When the stars rise, everyone wins. And Caitlin Clark? She's not just rising, she's skyrocketing. Leslie made it clear that Clark's spotlight isn't a threat to veterans. It's a rising tide. More attention on the league means bigger paychecks, packed arenas, and a future where both rookies and veterans get what they're worth. She didn't shy away from the controversy around Clark's screen time. She tackled it head on.
Stephen A. Smith had a very interesting discourse with Fee recently over the number of games the Fever broadcasted this season compared to other teams who've also got stars on them. So curious what you make of W's decision to lean into highlighting its stars.
While players like Reese and others grumbled about how often Clark's team gets the national spotlight, Lisa Leslie broke it down like a professor. When one of us eats, we all eat. In other words, instead of complaining about TV time, they should be thanking Clark for bringing more eyes and more opportunity to the league.
I think it's all about money, marketing, and we cannot deny what Caitlin Clark has done for the women's game. I'm not going to act like it's something that we don't see. She's had a huge effect, call it the Caitlin Clark effect. Yes, have we ever had teams have to get into larger arenas to play against a team? No, we have not. So if we have more eyeballs on the game and Caitlin Clark brings that, why would we feel some kind of way because she has more television games?
Remember when some players, and even ESPN, tried to downplay Caitlin Clark's dominance at Iowa just because she didn't win a national title?
I'm curious, where would you rank her amongst all-time college players in your opinion?
Ooh, that's tough because you got to win one. I feel like that college is one of those spaces where you got to win one for them to even have your name in the conversation. And it took me 3 years to win mine, so it's hard.
Well, Lisa Leslie wasn't having any of that either. She shut it down, plain and simple.
Curious if you think winning an NCAA championship is needed for that eventual GOAT conversation, greatest of all time status.
Absolutely not. I didn't win an NCAA championship. I was National Player of the Year. I won all of the individual awards, but sometimes, it's very hard to win a national championship, regardless of how much people talk about it, like, oh, you have to have it. it is one of the hardest things to do in a tournament where you have so many games and you're trying to get there. So yeah, shout out to all of the players who were able to win national championships, but it doesn't make a player who didn't win a national championship any less of an amazing individual player. And
then came the mic drop moment. Lisa Leslie said, "Clark deserves this, all of it. The attention, the endorsements, the hype, because she's changing the game." And when those words come from someone who changed the game herself, it's not just praise, it's a passing of the torch.
Hey, listen, Caitlin, I am so thankful for her. I'm thankful for all of these women and where this game is, and we have to step back and see the big picture and how it's impacting all of us.
So what did we witness? It wasn't just a defense of Caitlin Clark or a critique of Angel Reese. It was a lesson in leadership from one of the game's all-time greats. Lisa Leslie showed us how it's done. You lift others up, you correct when necessary, and most importantly, you speak the truth, even when it's uncomfortable and even when it's on someone else's mic. Because at the end of the day, Lisa Leslie isn't here to play favorites. She's here to elevate the game. And Caitlin Clark? She's proving every day that she's not just a media sensation, she's the future Lisa Leslie's been waiting for.
Honestly, I grew up playing literally everything, and I was super competitive, so my parents kind of just tossed me out there and wanted me to like get my energy out, whether it was soccer, softball, golf, track. I really did it all. And then when I got into high school, I kind of knew basketball was my future, and I loved it, and I wanted to practice it. And I think that's what was different. I wanted to get better at it. I wanted to spend time working on my game, and that was probably what set that apart from all the other sports I played. They were just kind of like for fun with my friends. I was really competitive about it, but I didn't take extra time out of my day to go and work on my game and want to be better and be better than everybody else. So I think that's what kind of helped me figure out the path I wanted to take. And then I remember in high school, I played soccer and I was on varsity and I loved it, but my teammates would get mad because I would go and practice and work out and do basketball after school right before we had our soccer games, and they couldn't believe that I was doing that. So I eventually had to give up soccer, even though I loved it, but I think it was just...
Caitlin Clark has always been a force to be reckoned with. But what we're seeing now is something else entirely. The WNBA has officially been put on notice. Clark isn't just leveling up her game, she's evolving into an unstoppable powerhouse.
Number 22, Caitlin Clark!
I think this is a good excuse to miss school. Absolutely, to see your sister do that. Anna Stoll keep posting up, but you know who they go to. 22! Abby Marshall, here comes Clark. How will she go for history?
The newest footage shows a Clark who's not just stronger, but downright dominant, and defenders have every reason to be seriously concerned. If you thought Clark was a threat before, get ready. It's about to get wild.
She has big in that opportunity. Clark for three, rattles for her first deep shot.
She's no longer just the sharpshooter we've all come to admire. She's been hitting the gym, packing on serious muscle, and gearing up to take the league by storm in ways we've never imagined. This is the kind of transformation that turns stars into legends, and we're here to break it all down. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for all the latest WNBA updates and in-depth takes on the biggest stories rocking the league.
Plum's had a good night here tonight. Points, she and Jackie Young leading the way at Clark. Boston screen, fire away.
Remember last season? Caitlin Clark was already a generational scorer, torching defenses with her endless range and fearless shot making. But there was one major flaw: physicality.
Effect! Thank you very much. That's what 6'5" would do for you. I don't have that luxury. Nice give and go. Clark right at the cup. It's rebound. Back Finlay. Futility from 3 for the Sparks. 0 for 9 and stuck in the air there. Finlay comes up with it. Here's Clark in transition where she's dangerous. Leaves it behind for. Here's just 1 of 5. How about Finlay running the floor? They go threes. Yeah, they do. Nice concept, but it won't go.
Defenders didn't hesitate to take advantage of her lean frame, bumping her off her spots, crowding her, and putting her in tough, uncomfortable positions.
Women's basketball has found its fame, and the reason for that is a 22-year-old playing in just her first WNBA season. Indiana Fever's point guard, Caitlin Clark, has already become the face of women's basketball, despite this being her debut year. To cap it off, Clark has won Rookie of the Year award, and she did that in some style, a unanimous choice of 66 of the 67 votes going in her favor. But it isn't just skill and accolades that make her the most popular face here on the basketball court. Clark's off-field antics.
Skeptics were loud. Could she handle the brutal physicality of the league? Was she just another college phenom who would falter against bigger, stronger, and faster opponents? Fast forward to now, and Clark has completely turned that narrative upside down. She didn't just accept the challenge, she went straight at it.
Which makes it some really good offensive.
Clark seeing direction, feeds Boston. Indiana has the advantage, and Boston trying to beat all their opponents for the first time since 2010. Clark shot fakes the 3, feeds inside to Boston for 2.
This offseason wasn't just about fine-tuning her already deadly jumper or sharpening her handles. It was about building a physique strong enough to stand toe-to-toe with the most physical defenders in the league. She made strength just as much of a priority as skill. And the results? Absolutely game-changing. Clark dove into an elite strength and conditioning program designed to pack on muscle without sacrificing the agility and explosiveness that make her a nightmare on the court. Trainers built a plan centered around core stability, lower body strength, and endurance, making sure she could take the hits and still finish strong. She fully embraced weightlifting, resistance training, and explosive movement drills, transforming herself into a more durable, battle-ready version of Clark.
Third quarter. Behind the back, Clark. A wide open shot. And wide open is Caitlin Clark, but she can't knock it down from up top. Tries it again from a different spot. That one connects.
The transformation is undeniable. She's stronger, more balanced, and now able to initiate contact instead of just taking it.
You know, looking at all these things that people are talking about with Caitlin Clark, it's like, guys, chill out. Like, she's gonna be fine. Like, it's 2 games in. Are you kidding me? She's a student of the game. She got better every year. You're not going to just absorb all of the new information that's coming at you in 2 games, in 2 weeks. It takes time. And she will. I have no doubt about it. She's a student of the game. She continues to get better. And these are also points that coaches then address. Hey, let's continue to work on this. But it's really hard to work on some of those things in season. So this might be an off-season thing, right? Let's continue to play to our strengths. Let's find different ways to get the ball to our players. And then when we get time in the off-season, then we'll work on that next step or that next level.
The days of defenders pushing Clark around are a thing of the past. Now, she's the one setting the tone. And it's not just the fans and analysts who've noticed. Her coach, Stephanie White, has confirmed it too.
A new sight on the court here at Carver Hawkeye Arena. That decal right at the spot where Caitlin hit that fall-away 3. The logo 3 to take the NCAA scoring record.
In a recent statement, White made it clear. Clark didn't just fine-tune her physique, she completely rebuilt it. This isn't a small tweak, it's a full-on evolution, and it's already having a massive impact on her game.
Play. It's up, it won't go down, and this building knows.
See Mitchell's going, what happened? For Caitlin, what a reaction by Kelsey.
Her arms are more defined, a clear testament to the hours of weight training she's put in. Her core is rock solid, keeping her balanced even when taking heavy hits. Her legs are built for explosive power, giving her that extra burst when driving to the rim and extending her shooting range beyond what was already elite. Clark has transformed herself into a physical powerhouse, and the results? Undeniable. The added strength is showing up everywhere in her game. She's attacking the basket with more power, finishing through contact instead of getting knocked off course. Defenders who once pushed her out of position are now the ones getting bounced back.
I guess he determined that Ariel Atkins had possession.
Clark, the switch on to Dolson, steps back.
Steph Dolson's in drop, and the screen is so...
14 from the field, but they've got a 5-point mark circling around. Sets up Samuelson, who's wide open and 3.
Her three-point range has stretched even farther, thanks to the added power in her legs. But maybe the biggest change? Her defense. Clark can now stand her ground against bigger, stronger opponents, turning her into an even more dangerous two-way force.
Whenever I decide to go to the WNBA, I hope it's that same thing. I hope I can continue to grow the game. I hope we're playing in front of sold-out crowds. I hope more teams are added to the league. There's so many tremendous players that don't even get the opportunity to play in the league, so.
The implications for the league are massive. A stronger Caitlin Clark isn't just a more lethal scorer. She's now a matchup nightmare for every team she faces. Physicality was the one weapon defenders had to try and slow her down. But with her transformation, that tool is completely off the table. Clark's added strength makes her even more dangerous. And now, opponents have to rethink everything. If she was already nearly unstoppable before, what does that make her now? Teams across the WNBA better start reworking their game plans, because the old strategies to contain her just became completely irrelevant. Every defender in the league will need to adjust, or they'll be left scrambling.
I feel like I'm getting hammered.
Last season, Caitlin Clark faced cheap shots, constant hacking, and defenders who thought they could muscle their way into shutting her down. Well, guess what? That chapter is officially closed. The Indiana Fever have loaded up with not 1, not 2, but 3 enforcers who won't stand for any of that nonsense anymore.
So the Indiana Fever have got their enforcer. They have got their enforcer for Caitlin Clark. And I'm not gonna lie, like, when it comes to Caitlin Clark and their enforcer, last year everyone was talking about them needing an enforcer.
Enter Howard, Cunningham, and Bonner, veterans with attitude. If critics think they can bully Clark, they'll have to get past them first.
The closest thing they had was Erica Wheeler. That was the closest thing they had for someone to defend Caitlin Clark, was Erica freaking Wheeler. Maybe Tammy, but Caitlin Clark was getting hit a lot. She was getting hit a lot early, and they needed their Charles Oakley.
This move isn't just about talent, it's a statement. The Fever aren't here to compete. They're here to dominate. With these new additions, they've built a squad that plays fast, tough, and, most importantly, protects Clark. Her bullies on notice? So how will these three transform the Fever into a WNBA powerhouse?
Sometimes you need one of those players on your team. You need one of those enforcers. Every good player, by the way. Every good player, every good team that is a super duper star. Most of the time have enforcer type players.
Picture this. Caitlin Clark, the WNBA's most electrifying rookie, steps onto the court for her debut. Fans are buzzing, expecting a show. Instead, hard fouls, excessive contact, and physicality that seemed aimed at taking her down. What's going on here?
That's all I see. They try so long to get respect for women's basketball, and then they treat it like a junior high school girl's locker room. Junior high school girl antics on the court.
Clark wasn't just a rookie. She was targeted, with 17% of all flagrant fouls last season against her, proving defenders weren't just playing defense. They were trying to take her down.
Now, what little girl wants to grow up and play in a league where you're targeted like that? How do you sit here and profess and demand that everyone take women's sports seriously when you can't even take it seriously enough to not act like a junior high queen on the court? It looks like a soap opera.
And leading the charge? The Chicago Sky. A shocking 80% of those flagrant fouls came from one team. That's no coincidence. It's a statement. They weren't just defending, they were sending a message. Was it intimidation, frustration, or just a desperate attempt to slow a rising star? Whatever the reason, Clark's presence clearly made them uncomfortable. Clark drives, Reese floors her, silence. Was it too much? Commentators wondered, but Clark shook it off and kept playing.
I think we went up really strong a lot of times and we didn't get a lot of calls. And going back and looking at the film, I've seen a lot of calls that weren't made. I guess some people got a special whistle.
That's what makes Clark special, her composure. After a cheap shot from Kennedy Carter, she simply said, "That's not a basketball play, but gotta play through it." No complaints, no retaliation, just pure mental toughness.
And Clark. I mean, that's clearly a foul, which was called. The question is, will they call it unnecessary? Kennedy Carter.
Clark proved she could take the hits, but the Fever knew she needed protection. So they made moves, big ones. With some serious enforcers now on the roster, no one's bullying Clark anymore. Who are they? And how will they change the Fever's dynamic?
The signing of Natasha Howard represents a massive step forward for the Indiana Fever and their quest for a championship. In Howard, the Fever gain a three-time WNBA champion, a Defensive Player of the Year, an All-Star, and a veteran with more than 300 games played.
Natasha Howard isn't just an addition, she's the enforcer the Fever needed. From day one, the message was clear. Clark's no longer an easy target. A three-time champ, former Defensive Player of the Year, Howard's toughness will end the days of Clark getting bullied.
But all of that, and we haven't yet touched upon what Howard does best: defend. Howard was named Defensive Player of the Year in 2019 and has finished in the top 10 of the Defensive Player of the Year voting 3 times in her career. Howard has averaged at least 1 block and 1 steal per game in each of her last 7 seasons. And that versatility is really what makes her a weapon on defense.
Last season, Clark faced nonstop physicality, but now defenders will think twice. Howard alone shifts the power dynamic. She commands respect next to Clark, and with her elite stats, 17.6 points, 6.7 rebounds, and a 3-point threat, she'll create more space for Clark, Mitchell, and Boston.
Last season, with a minimum of 25 games played, Natasha Howard was one of just 13 players to average 18 points per game. She was one of 16 players to average 7 rebounds per game. And the list of players to average both 18 and 7 last year, short and elite. Asia Wilson, Breanna Stewart, Nafisa Collier, Brittany Griner, and yes, Natasha Howard.
Howard's defense is where she truly dominates. A former Defensive Player of the Year, she's a nightmare in the paint.
But that wingspan and 6'2" height allows her to be disruptive defensively around the rim on opposing bigs too. In fact, Howard will enter the 2025 season 25th all-time in blocks in WNBA history.
Howard's ready to elevate Clark in the Fever, bringing her experience and toughness to help them dominate, not just fight back.
Caitlin Clark was getting hit a lot. She was getting hit a lot early, and they needed their Charles Oakley. You've got that in Sophie Cunningham.
Sophie Cunningham is heading to Indiana, making the WNBA even more exciting. If Clark needed someone to keep the bullies in check and hit threes, she's got her.
There are so many videos of Sophie Cunningham just starting brawls.
Some might ask, Cunningham? Wasn't she bringing Clark to Phoenix? Clark had other plans, ensuring Cunningham joined her in Indiana.
Sophie Cunningham, in general, is just wild. Wild is the best word I can use to describe Sophie Cunningham. And it is just, it's carnage. It's carnage a lot of the time when Sophie Cunningham gets involved with anything. The amount of fights that Sophie Cunningham has been involved in is mental.
Cunningham is a perfect fit for Indiana. She's not just tough, she's an elite shooter, hitting 37.8% from deep last season. With Clark running the offense, that number will rise.
If she hits a three, Maisha Hines-Allen fouls her and then tries to step over, and then Sophie Cunningham grabs her leg. Nobody's going near Maisha Hines-Allen, but no, Sophie Cunningham will start the fight. The refs are trying to break it up. None of the Mercury players are going to go near Maisha Hines-Allen. They're scared. She's scared the bejesus out of them. Maisha Hines-Allen is one of the toughest players in this league. Sophie Cunningham going head to head straight with her.
Cunningham brings more than shooting. She's got an edge. She plays through contact, talks trash, and backs it up. Plus, she's a Taekwondo black belt.
Like Sophie Cunningham, there are so many things where it's like, part of it her fault, part of it not her fault, but she will not back down. She will not back down under any circumstances from anything. And that is what the Indiana Fever need. If somebody hits Caitlin Clark, if somebody does what Victoria Vivians did to Caitlin Clark, it's not going to be Caitlin Clark that's getting involved to be teed up. Sophie Cunningham's in there. You take the technical foul. You take it.
Cunningham adds versatility to the Fever's lineup as a wing who can shoot, defend, and provide leadership, averaging 8.4 points, 3.9 rebounds, and 2.0 assists last season.
Like Sophie Cunningham is guarding the screen here, and she just takes a hard hit, nothing major. So she's down, and then after taking a hard hit, just gets back up and laughs. Gets back up and laughs a bit.
Cunningham thrives in high-pressure moments, bringing toughness, experience, and fearlessness. Whether it's hitting a clutch three, locking down a guard, or stepping up when things get chippy.
She takes the hard hit and goes down, obviously, gets back up and just laughs. Like, that's a legitimate thing where you're like, okay, yeah, this is a person who is just, like, there is a toughness there with Sophie Cunningham. And, like, she's not scared.
Cunningham's presence ensures defenses can't collapse on Clark and Boston, as her perimeter shooting ability forces teams to think twice about doubling Clark, making the Fever's offense even more dangerous.
So, yeah, like, a solid signing for what she does on the floor. But, like, the protecting Caitlin Clark type thing.
The big question is how Cunningham's aggressive style will mesh with Clark's finesse. But one thing's for sure, Indiana just got a lot tougher, and the rest of the WNBA better take notice.
She's just a smart player. You already see what she's done in her rookie season, and I think she gets the ball to people in the right positions to help them be successful, so that's huge. And I'm hoping that I can give her a little bit more leadership and knowledge for her to understand this league a little bit better. And like I said, when playoffs hit, she'll be ready.
DeWanna Bonner isn't just joining the Fever. She's here to reshape their culture and bring championship experience, making it clear Indiana is ready to win now.
Our first game in Indiana, we gotta get a win.
Bonner's addition turns the Fever from an exciting young team into a championship contender, adding elite defense, clutch scoring, and floor spacing alongside Boston, Clark, Mitchell, and Cunningham.
What excites you the most about this team that you're going to be joining?
I mean, they have dynamic pieces in CC and Kelsey Mitchell and AB, Lexi Hall. I mean, they have a great core, so why not just add to that and try to, take us to the next level in the playoffs. They were in first round, and I played against them in the first round, and the way they came back the second game, it just makes you excited to, okay, I want to be a part of that. They didn't lay down and quit. They came back and actually try to beat us early, that next game.
Bonner's not just a skilled player. She's a true leader, elevating Clark, Boston, and Mitchell by studying their game and maximizing their strengths.
Like I said, hopefully I can make her job a little easier and she can make mine a little easier. But I think she's a great person, and we, been kind of connecting here. We had a great workout this morning, and it was fun. She's a fun kid.
Bonner sees something special in Clark's competitive fire and is ready to guide her towards superstardom, using her experience to push Clark to new heights.
Kind of went on this crazy run, and they were the most well-gelled team at that time. They went from the bottom straight, and they just kept trending. And it was like one of those teams you're like, man, you don't want to really see them in the playoffs. So we got the matchup, and I think our experience helped us very well. But that second game, they came out, and it was like, they just kind of went on this trajectory that was just like on the rise, and it was literally fever on the rise during right after All-Star. So that's exciting. That's exciting for me to see, and that kind of helped me with my decision.
Last season, the Fever lacked experience, but Bonner brings postseason know-how, leadership, and the ability to close games, all while elevating Clark to new heights.
That experience to a young, maturing team, what can you provide?
I'm hoping that I can provide a little bit of leadership, but I feel like they're a team that last year helped them a lot and understand the dynamics of playoffs. It's a whole different ball game when playoffs come, and I feel like they're a young team, but they're a good team, and hopefully I can just provide the knowledge and explain playoffs to them a little bit better so we can be better prepared and don't get punched in the face the first game. And it's hard to come back when you do that the first game. It's hard to come back and try to win 2 straight against a veteran team. So I think they got it.
What does Bonner's arrival mean for Indiana? Everything. Her playoff experience and championship mindset are the missing pieces for a team on the rise. This isn't just a veteran signing. It's a statement that the Fever are done waiting. The future is now. With Bonner, Clark, Boston, and Mitchell, this team isn't just fun to watch, it's a contender. Are you ready for the Indiana Fever show? It's coming fast.